The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
All right, NBA guys, I need you to come through for me again. I got to ask a question. How does France have so many players that are so good and like NBA players, and they're going first overall in the draft?
Part of it is because young players are eligible to play on pro teams overseas.
But France is just that stacked. They had 3 guys from France win in the first 6 picks.
Mm-hmm. It's a competitive league in France right now, I know.
Man, it's a lot harder as just a college kid these days to get picked up, especially in a draft and try to make a career out of the NBA. And
there's going to be a lot of discussion about how much better maybe they're coached in certain areas than what players are in the U.S.
It's so competitive in France that Alex Sarr went over to Australia to play. So,
well, one more thing. Another thought I had about this. So, I just saw like some rumors coming through, like on Twitter, from those connected to the NBA, hearing from sources that the Lakers are rumored to draft Bronny James with the 55th pick. The second round, by the way, of the draft is on right now. They're at pick 41 with the 76ers.
Johnny Furphy just went.
Yeah, Furphy went to the Spurs. I saw that.
Good riddance.
What's funny about this draft, I mean, the Lakers did take Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. So are the Lakers drafting LeBron's replacement and his son in the same draft?
Nice. Well played. Who would have thought that a kid who got his start at Northeastern Colorado Junior College, followed by a stint in Greeley, then Tennessee, would wind up with the Lakers and be mentioned as a potential replacement, quote unquote, for LeBron?
Because, I mean, Knecht's what, a small forward or a power forward? Or
yeah, forward. He also plays a little 2-guard as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah.
If you're looking to replace LeBron James, Dalton Knecht is not a bad way to go. He's not LeBron James,
surprisingly
but he's
fell as far as he did.
Well, it's because there's all these European kids and these G League Ignite kids.
Oh, watch it.
Kentucky.
Watch it. A former president may say something on the in the debate tonight about those Europeans.
Oh, is that tonight?
That's tonight.
Oh, boy.
You had to bring that up.
I'm just noting.
Are there any bets on that debate?
Yes, there are. Not that we can bet on any of them in the United States.
That's so dumb, man.
That's true.
Just want to pass along this note before we get too deep. Jury rules NFL violated antitrust laws in Sunday ticket case.
Oh, so that means this could be could this be a class action lawsuit now?
It's a class action settlement, or class action that they're going to have to pay out $4.7 billion in damages.
Troy, is this some money coming back to you? Are you in this?
No, I'm not, because I've only had...
I never had Sunday ticket.
Yeah, I had it 1 year. And that was because I got the freebie deal.
Oh, so now, you wouldn't be eligible, would it?
No.
I was in a class action lawsuit one time.
$96 million goes to commercial businesses, so bars and restaurants that were damaged by this deal, and another $4 billion then to residential class involved in the.
Hey, shout out to those bars here in Manhattan that had Sunday ticket. Maybe some cash coming back to your pocket.
The lawsuit covered 2.4 million residential subscribers and 48,000 businesses who paid for the package of out-of-market games from 2011 through 2022 on DirecTV.
Oh. Man, if you're lawyers, isn't this like the real great payouts when it comes to being a lawyer and getting a certain chunk of cash, these class action lawsuits? I mean, the lawyers get like half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, because the class action lawsuit that I was involved in, this is a decade ago, but somebody who was an intern at SiriusXM ends up suing SiriusXM because they're not paying their interns. Well, guess who was an intern once upon a time? Yours truly at the Howard Stern Show. And I started getting the paperwork in the mail about joining in. I was like, man, is this going to make me look bad? And like, if I ever wanted to go back to work for SiriusXM, do they now have paperwork, never hire Mitch Fortner?
So here's the
but long story short, I got into it and I got like $600 out of it.
$600 at least. That'll pay for your
not even half the rent in New York.
EA Sports anyway. Not even close to half the rent. So essentially, what this comes down to is that because they made it only available on satellite TV, they got dinged because it's an antitrust violation. The argument was that the antitrust exemption that they get for broadcasting currently was only for over-the-air television and not offerings on. So they should have been marketing it through others, including, say, Dish or YouTube TV or other providers. Cable systems. Man, can you imagine how different the access would have been if it wasn't just a DirecTV thing up until last year?
It would have been a lot cheaper.
That's the idea,
yeah,
yes.
It would have been a lot cheaper.
And they argued that, essentially that it was about the NFL argued that essentially it was about, well, it's a premium offering. We could only – okay, whatever.
They wouldn't have the opportunity – like they couldn't sell the rights to I'm not fully like 100% like word for word understanding what exactly you're saying, but I mean I have the idea. I just would have always assumed the NFL had the rights to distribute to whoever they wanted to, like wrestling and pay-per-views.
It's why you see NBA League Pass be a package that can be purchased on multiple systems.
Oh, okay. I thought they had the right to just do whatever they wanted with it, and through who?
Yeah, the NFL
Whoever paid the most money or whatever.
The NFL is the only one that was doing that.
Huh. I didn't think that would be such a red flag. I just would assume it's a business that they can do what they want,
There's this wonderful thing called antitrust.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty trustworthy. So.
It's why we have so many gas companies in the United States, and it's not just Standard Oil anymore.
Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner, Troy Coverdale, and A.J. Shaw. We take it to 6 o'clock. We have Royals baseball tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do.
6:30?
6:30, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Guardians, the opponent starting a 4-game series. A lot to talk about today, including EA Sports probably going too far when they decided to put out the overall ratings, offense and defense for the top 25 offense and defensive ratings. K-State does show up in one of them. Colorado is in both.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be. I think these two lists were more egregious than the top 25 hardest places to play or the toughest stadiums to play that EA Sports put out. It's a video game. Yeah, that's one part of it. But, boy, are we taking this super serious as in this is just how they reflect how this college football season is going to play out. That's not necessarily true. It is in a way. But they can certainly nerf some teams. And they can boost some teams if they're trying to sell some copies. And we all know Colorado, since the hiring of Coach Prime, has been a prime target for very good TV slots, especially, of course, the first half of last season. And they just started to tail off, and people realized, well, this team is actually not that good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a lot of people, again, in the transfer portal out and in of Boulder, Colorado. I want to touch on, not more than touch on, probably turn into a couple of segments here because we talked about this a little bit yesterday, just mentioning that it was going to happen this morning. The Big 12 has announced for men's and women's Big 12 basketball each team's conference opponents. We don't have dates. We don't have – because dates is one thing. I don't think – we want to know how many Big Mondays K-State's going to have. How many Saturday to Monday runs are they going to have? Are they home and away? Are they home and home, away and home? How does that all turn out? I think the next step there, what we want to know is, well, how many ESPN Plus games are there going to be? Or is K-State going to have more games on ESPN, ESPN2, the U, News, whatever, compared to ESPN Plus?
Boy, given what that schedule looks like, it's going to be tough to pick what goes on to just the streaming service.
I like K-State's schedule.
Yeah.
I really do. We'll break it down here in just a second. The other one, and the Big 12 did this last year, and I really liked the way they just laid it out for everybody. They listed everybody's home and away opponents, so the teams you will play both at home and in their gym, the teams you'll play at home only, and then the games you'll play just away. The opponents you'll only play at their house. I should have done this math. I didn't realize how easy this probably actually would have been for the Big 12 to schedule the men's compared to the women's, because the women, they are stretching to 16. They're staying at 18 games, so there's only so many opponents the Big 12 can have where each team plays home and away. There's not going to be very many, and those suspicions came true when the Big 12 announced the women's schedule. We'll get to that here in just a second. On the men's side, the math is pretty easy. 16 teams, 20 games, so each team has 15 opponents. That's pretty easy to schedule.
Yeah.
You just got to figure who's going to play who, and you don't want to make one team's schedule a lot harder than, some others, Want to make it a debate to determine who has the easiest, who has the toughest schedule, who has the toughest home and away schedule, which, by the way, at 5'10", I'm going to bring you all of my answers for that.
Oh, boy.
But like K-State, they'll play 5 teams home and away. They'll play 5 just at home and 5 just on the road. Pretty simple stuff. So here's K-State's schedule. Or I shouldn't say schedule, opponents in Big 12 play coming up this basketball season on the men's side. Home and away, K-State will have Kansas and Iowa State, Cincinnati, Arizona State, and Oklahoma State. I'm glad the Big 12 corrected a major issue that I had with last year's schedule. K-State was playing KU and Iowa State. KU was playing K-State and Iowa State. Iowa State, and we're talking home and away, Iowa State, I shouldn't say about that for KU because Iowa State did not have to play in Allen Fieldhouse last year.
That is correct.
They did not have to play in Lawrence. KU went up to Hilton Coliseum. Well, now we have the true triangular home and away round robin. K-State will, and Iowa State and KU each play each other twice. That, if you're the Big 12, is the right way to go. In my opinion, that is the best triangular in all of college basketball for home and away games. Because it's going to be incredible environments. Hilton, Allen, Bramlage, 3 of the best environments in all of college basketball. You want your close rivals playing each other in all the houses.
Yes.
That was the right way to go. The home-only schedule for K-State: Arizona, Colorado, Houston, Texas Tech, West Virginia. So K-State avoids going to Boulder, which you tell me, is that a tough place to play? I think it's one of those that's like when Colorado is good, it can be real tough.
The flaw is that they do not sell out ever. Even at their best, they struggle to fill that place. It's generic. I'll give them credit. They've upgraded a number of things since the last time that K-State will have gone in there, but it really has not ever been a great atmosphere, no.
So of the 3 locations that K-State could play at when it comes to elevation, they will not be going to Boulder. Boulder is elevated. It's out in the mountains, right?
Yes.
Home only, once again, Houston in there. Texas Tech is in there, so you're not going to Houston, who's going to be obviously very good. Texas Tech is a really tough place to play. And also West Virginia, who I think could be a dark horse this year with doing a very solid job, has Coach DeVries. I think that's how you say his last name. The first-year head coach for the Mountaineers. He had to bring in 8 players, a pretty stat class. Most of the recruiting sites have West Virginia as a consensus top 10 team when it comes to recruiting out of the transfer portal. So that could be that's one you don't have to go to Morgantown, the long road trip out to West Virginia. And then the away only, Baylor, BYU, UCF, TCU, Utah. Overall thought, I like it. I think K-State dodged some bullets. It doesn't gravitate more I wouldn't say it's in any way hard. It's the Big 12. It's going to be a tough schedule.
Right.
But there are a lot of other teams out there that's going to have more of a daunting schedule about where they have to go, where they're going to play home and away, the common opponents that they have when it comes to where they're going, where they're staying, having to play teams twice. KU, Iowa State, that's great. Oklahoma State, don't know. Cincinnati, probably not going to be great. Arizona State's trash at basketball.
True.
You're going to Waco, and when it comes to the best teams in the conference, a road trip to Waco is going to be built on, again, that relationship between Coach Tang and Coach Scott Drew. Not the toughest place to play.
Right.
BYU can be tough. Utah's not good at basketball. TCU's not tough. It's just a weird floor. UCF, if you play that later in the year, UCF is going to be that team that'll knock off a big team once in a while. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to be consistently good, most likely. I don't expect them to be great this year. So going to Orlando and just playing UCF once is not a tall task really at all, although it's still the Big 12. Tough road trips all the time. It happens. But I got to say, this could have been a lot worse. Arizona, you play once. Houston, you play once. Texas Tech, you play once. And it's all at your house.
Yeah.
K-State's home schedule, I don't think could have been much better. For selling tickets, being an attractive home schedule, selling the season tickets, making sure that student section is full game in and game out. Yes, of course, that team is going to be amazing. It's going to sell tickets on its own. But when it comes to having that attractive home schedule, game in and game out, it's pretty well it's pretty well stacked for K-State. Mm-hmm. I don't think it could have been much better. It's going to be really fun to watch home games this year. I think they're just going to be just based on the name that's coming in, you're already going to be fired up. So that just helps. I'm not saying K-State needed it.
Right.
But it does help. So I'm very excited about this schedule.
No, and there's every reason to be very excited about the schedule. It is lined up, as you noted, very, very good for the Cats. I think the flaw is on that home slate. Okay, now you've got to make sure that the fans are in the seats, and what games of those become the weeknight affairs. That's going to be the tough part of this. How do you lay out that schedule?
Well, and I think this lays out to where K-State's going to have a decent amount of big Mondays.
It's a good point.
I mean, you're going to have I'm sure a KU game in there will be a big Monday. Iowa State could be a big Monday. You know, at home, if like an Arizona game, that's going to be actually, I mean, that could be a type of game where you do throw it on ESPN Plus. Because people are going to want to watch that game.
Sure.
Especially with the game being in Manhattan. Arizona traveling to a place I don't know what this series has been, but it's probably been a long time. If they have been to Manhattan, it's been a long time since Arizona has been to Manhattan. That is an exciting game. Houston coming here is an exciting game. Avoiding United Supermarkets Arena, I love that because it has not been friendly to K-State.
True.
Recently.
True.
Has not been friendly. And that has turned into, ever since the whole Chris Beard thing happened, and Texas Tech with Grant McCaslin is still good. You know, they were a top 4 Big 12 team. Yeah, that's going to be a raucous environment, and they bring a lot of fans in, and they fill it up. The last time Arizona played in Manhattan, does that say 82?
December 9th of 1981.
Oh, 81, okay.
So, in other words, they've never played at Bramlage.
Nope.
No. They played at Ahern.
Mm-hmm. Great home schedule. By the way, here is the K-State women's schedule. Home and away. Playing these teams at home and on the road, just 3. KU, Iowa State, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Home only in Bramlage, Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, UCF. I like Baylor as a home only.
Right.
Really like that. UCF, TCU, Texas Tech. Also like Tech as a home only. Away, BYU, that Colorado trip's going to be tough. Colorado's going to be good. That's an away only. Houston, Oklahoma State. What if like actually Oklahoma State to be both home and away? That's really like that series. Utah, and of course West Virginia, who we'll see how good they are next year, will be an away only matchup for the K-State women. Let's take a break. When we come back, K-State football today landed arguably their best commitment so far in 2025. If it's not the best, it's the second best. Those details are next.
Miss any of the show? Check out the Game podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and of course, NewsRadioKMAN.com. You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Limp Bizkit brings us back to the game. News Radio KMAN.
If I had known that was Limp Bizkit, I wouldn't have played it.
What? What's wrong with Limp Bizkit?
There's a lot of things wrong with Limp Bizkit.
All right, tell us.
Well, I'm just not a fan.
Oh. But you are a fan of who?
Who?
Like, who's your favorite
My favorite
artist,
singer?
band?
That's a great question. I like Billy Joel. I know a lot of people don't like Billy Joel, but I like Billy Joel.
So, okay, if Limp Bizkit and Billy Joel were on the same concert, and Limp Bizkit is opening for Billy Joel,
Oh my God!
I would not go to it.
you would not. You would skip it. So you're not that big of a fan of Billy Joel.
No, it's that I don't want to go see Limp Bizkit open up for Billy Joel.
But you can wait. Like, you can let Limp Bizkit play. You're having a good time in the parking lot, hanging out.
Because that money is going to Limp Bizkit, part of it at least.
Have
is.
a good meal somewhere.
I'd rather have the good meal somewhere than go to see Limp Bizkit.
That's what I'm saying. You would wait until their set
Yes.
was done.
Yes.
Have a good meal somewhere.
Bad news, AJ. I'll just break the news to you now. Mitchapalooza next year.
Oh, God.
My headliners are Billy Joel and Limp Bizkit.
That's
So
becoming a thing, I'm guessing.
You're
now.
gonna bounce on my
What
festival.
What if I don't come to Mitchapalooza?
I'll probably get over it.
I'm not required by law as somebody
I'll
who's a member of this show and an employee here at Manhattan Broadcasting.
Well, this wouldn't be an official The Game on K-Man event. It'd be more of a K-State event.
Oh, it's a K-State event.
So you wouldn't be required to be there, but I would take note and I would remember that. Next time you want me to come to your Chicago Bulls watch party,
Yeah,
I would probably
not
say no.
There would not be a Chicago Bulls
Because
watch
you know
party.
why? Because I'm not a fan of the Chicago Bulls.
I'm not much of a fan of them right now either, even though they made a good draft pick last night. I liked the pick.
But the next time you do want to have a Cowboys versus Bears watch party, I'll be there. Because I know who's going to win. And I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, the Bears will win because they have Caleb Williams.
I just want you to know you're the only one that thought that was funny. So, I didn't laugh.
Someone's bitter. Someone's very bitter.
AJ, I think I get, okay. Billy Joel's going to be there. Limp Bizkit's going to be there. Who could I also bring in that would change your mind about coming to that concert? Okay, yeah, Limp Bizkit's going to be there. There are some festivals out there that we love the headliner, but sometimes there's just that middle act that we're not a big fan of, but we're going anyway. So let me bring in somebody else along on that billing. Who else should I bring in for Mitchapalooza so AJ will show up?
You kind of put me on the spot here, man. I like Hall & Oates for some reason.
Hall & Oates. They hate each other, though.
I know they do hate each other.
So it's either you want Hall or you want Oates.
Probably Hall.
Put up a giant
All right,
plexiglass.
Daryl Hall.
You put up a giant plexiglass wall in between Hall and Oates
Simon
on
and
stage.
Garfunkel's another one I kind of like.
Yeah, there's going to have to be the plexiglass wall there, too.
All right, so Daryl Hall only, which is great. That'll save me a little bit of money. That'll save K-State some money. We'll have Limp Bizkit and Billy Joel. And AJ will officially be showing up.
We'll see.
K-State football has certainly shown up in the month of June when it comes to recruiting. And this, by the way, speaking of recruiting, we'll get to Brock Heath here in just a moment. Lincoln Cure is going to announce his commitment on Monday.
Monday.
July 1st, he's going to do, I don't know where he's going to do it, if he's going to do it from Goodland High School. Or,
Yeah, Max Jones Fieldhouse.
Oh, okay, so it is going to be there. And I'm sure it's going to be the Hats thing, K-State, KU, Texas A&M, and Oregon, which I'm sure that's why there's been a little bit of delay. He wanted to have the intimate with some media there, wanted the the big announcement. He's a 5-star kid. When you're a 3-star doing the hat thing, it's like, okay, guy, just make your pick. When you're a 5-star and you can add a little bit of drama, and each one of those teams wants him just as much as the other, yeah, let's keep those teams on the edge of their seat. I got a feeling, though, there's one out of that 4 is feeling a little bit more confident. than the other three. But, we'll wait and see when we get there what happens on July 1st. Meanwhile, today, Brock Heath, 6'6", 260, interior offensive lineman out of Blue Valley Northwest High School, out of Overland Park, the Kansas City area. 4 stars, according to On3 and ESPN today, has committed to K-State. He is commitment number 11 for the 2025 recruiting class. Even though we had a few days there of a lull after K-State had 7 and 10 days, boy, they are not pulling punches. A 4-star kid is coming to K-State. Now, when I say before the break he was arguably K-State's best pickup so far, it's either him or Will Kemna, who is out of the state of Missouri, 8th best player out of the state of Missouri. Brock Heath, according to On3, is the 8th best player out of the state of Kansas. This is K-State's 3rd pickup out of the state of Kansas. So there's that momentum building back up for the state of Kansas, which, by the way, could really skyrocket on Monday with Lincoln Cure. So let's stay tuned for that. But depending on where you look, and you could go with either guy, they're both very talented, either with Brock Heath or Will Kemna. The important part there, guys, is they're both offensive linemen. Shout out to the OC. Shout out to the offensive line coach. Connor Riley, back-to-back years, is putting in the work and getting the dubs. Last year, look at this stat class. Gus Hawkins, Caden Massey, Ryan Howard, Kyle Rakers, Easton Kilty. Kilty, of course, out of the portal out of North Dakota. Great work. Already has the future of K-State football through the high school ranks and building the depth, the potential depth of the offensive line for the future of K-State football. Guys, the work's being put in. And by the way, this class it's not done with offensive linemen. There's still some work to do, but man, is it off to a phenomenal start.
There is some serious road grading getting ready to take place with that group.
It continues to be prime beef. Prime choice beef, grade A. Booth Creek Wagyu. Prime beef. Yeah, the beef moniker isn't going anywhere.
No.
That is something I think that's going to stick around for a long time. They're selling hats. Hey.
It's like the hogs.
I have it here on my list here, and I thought this was funny. I saw the line, the headline earlier this afternoon, that Hawk Tua girl.
Yes.
She is just right away capitalizing on her 15 minutes of fame. So she's selling hats and T-shirts. It's like it's a election year, so she's kind of turned it into an election billing. The president name followed by right below it, the vice name, and then 24 or whatever. So she's doing that, but it's Hawk Tua.
God,
she has sold over $60,000 worth of merch in the last couple of days. It was funny because also in the headline it says WWE interested. If there is anybody that wants anybody that can move some merch, it's the WWE. Well, Triple H, how about you start looking in Manhattan, Kansas? Because these beef boys move some merch with Wildcat NIL.
That's a valid point.
They have moved a lot of merch.
They have moved a lot of merch.
I love the connection between Brock Heath and K-State. What's really cool, Brock has his own website, brockheath.com, BROCK. His last name, HEATH.com. It's not exactly Facebook, but it gets the point across, boosting his recruiting. Go ahead, AJ.
There's a Hawk Tua song out.
Oh, yeah.
Hawk Tua Girl.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
I'm gonna have to screen that before we air it.
It's seriously auto-tuned.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
It's 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, we're not playing that.
Brock's dad played basketball here.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Matthew Heath?
I do not.
From the 80s. I tried looking up some stats, see if I could find anything. I didn't really find a whole lot. I didn't really find anything. But if anybody out there does remember a Matt Heath or a Matthew Heath, 537-1350, if you remember that name, you can let us know all about him. His older brothers, all highly recruited, played some Division I football. Jackson Heath, he played tight end at Columbia not too long ago, 18 through 22. So most likely this kid also has some brains on him.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Lawrence, a half-brother, was a linebacker for Nebraska for 3 seasons. His half-brother, Tyler Lawrence, was a quarterback at KU 06 to 08.
Of course he went to KU. Tyler Lawrence.
Oh, boy.
Trying to understand the joke. Was that a joke?
Yeah, it was a Lawrence joke.
Yeah.
Lawrence.
Jesus. Right over my head. That's my bad, AJ. Good for you on that.
You know, it's funny is that we've kind of missed a lot of your jokes at times this year, so I kind of feel it happens.
Remember, Troy, do you remember Amari Lawrence? He played here for a couple of seasons. He transferred in. He spent a semester. It was Frank Martin days. So
right.
This would have been.
So before He
actually spent a semester up at Claude County Community College when I was up there. Would play some basketball with him once in a while. Really nice dude, but he also had the last name Lawrence. I was thinking, man, a kid playing for K-State with the last name Lawrence? That's about it on Brock Heath. But back to what I was saying about, K-State now has picked up some momentum. And maybe I was wrong. I'd mentioned this probably a month ago. I just didn't feel like with the amount of attention the state of Kansas is getting for the 2025 class, it's a pretty stacked class for the state of Kansas. If you look at the top 15 kids in the state, it is the best top 15 I've seen in a long time. Pretty stacked. A lot of competition going to be coming in for these kids. Well, there's even some of them. I mean, I'm trying to look through my notes here. I kind of lost my spot here or where I was. Martell Jackson, who is from Derby, he has not been graded out yet. So he could also maybe sneak into that top 15. He's a Derby kid. Going to K-State, he's extremely talented. There's a number of these kids that still McGuire Richmond hasn't been fully graded out yet by these recruiting sources. That could be another kid that jumps into the top 15. But what's great is K-State has caught truly that momentum in state. Boy, would it take off if they get Lincoln Cure on Monday.
Absolutely.
All right, another timeout. Lot coming up in hour number 2. The easiest and hardest Big 12 basketball schedules based on the opponents that were announced earlier today. We'll get to, for the third show in a row, College Football 25. Today they announced top 25 offenses and defenses. This has way more controversy than the stadiums thing had a couple of days ago. That's coming up in hour number 2. Hour 1 continues next on The Game.
Your home for K-State sports.
So from Osawatomie to Ottawa, from Leewood to Liberty, this may be a day Kansas State faithful will never forget.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
I was hoping by this point of the show we would be close because of the NBA draft and round number 2 continuing, we would have been at that point, if it would have been timed out perfectly, that the Lakers were going to pick and see if they go with Bronny James or not. What I think would be awesome is if the Celtics pick right before the Lakers, if the Celtics took Bronny James.
You're brutal, man.
Oh, that would be amazing. I mean, the biggest thorn in the Lakers' side throughout history.
That's well
just
done.
Just does it to him one more time.
Yeah.
Jerry West would roll over in his grave.
As if he hasn't already been spinning like a rotisserie chicken.
That is true. I mean, unless he didn't. I mean, if he wanted Bronny James badly.
Some K-State related news from earlier today actually came out a few moments ago. Former Cat Arthur Kaluma, of course, not returning to K-State. The Cats are full at this point. He is going to be transferring to play for not. Well, it's not Rodney Terry anymore. Rodney Perry. Or am I getting those? I always get them mixed up. I don't know why I always get them mixed up. Rodney Perry's for K-State. Rodney Terry at Texas. He's going to go from Perry to Terry. And going to be a Texas Longhorn. That's on. Man, I look bad right there.
It's one of those days.
Arthur Kaluma, one of my favorite moments from last season was against Baylor. It was a game that went to overtime. It was in January. K-State's down I think it was 2 points with like 20 seconds to go. And Kaluma comes through in the clutch with one of the biggest shots from last season.
Here's Tyler Perry driving underneath the goal. Into the corner. Finister for three on the way. No. Rebound to Gasson. Back out to RJ. And now to Kaluma. Arthur for three. Yes! And in that one, 20 seconds to go.
Pandemonium.
Arthur Kaluma hits an improbable three and has 11. The Wildcats are back in front, 65-64.
I can't do it as good as you,
Mitch. Last year's roster was my least favorite since I've been doing PA announcing. My least favorite K-State roster for names.
Just wait until you have to do these names.
Well, this is way better. Way better.
You're looking forward to all of the challenges, is what you're saying.
As an announcer, I love syllables.
Well, when you get to Onyenso, well, if it was pronounced Onyensu, because that's what we were saying when it came out.
Well, I'm going to ask him, like with a name like that, and
it has to be good. I'm sorry,
Moby Ike-Garuka, like those guys. Like, how do you want your name announced?
You're gonna have to go. How do you say it again? I can't pronounce it. Moby what?
Ike-Garuka.
Ike-Garuka. Yeah, I know I'm not as good.
Not
as
quite.
You. I'm not as good as you are.
I'll workshop it. I'll figure something out.
You got 6 months.
Kaluma gives K-State 1 year. Going to play now for Rodney Terry in Austin, Texas, and 14 points a game last year, but that was his biggest shot of the season against Baylor Bears, keeping K-State. And boy, did K-State have some clutch shots in overtime. I mean, remember Tyler Perry hitting that three against Villanova with just a few seconds to go. Here comes Sandstorm for the first time that season, and boy, did they capture a great moment there, beating the Villanova Wildcats. Arthur Kaluma on his way to Austin. Let's take our final break of hour number 1. The Florida Panthers are still partying, and I love it. They have not stopped. They've been on a 3-day bender now at this point. That's coming up next.
Game on. Tweet the game, KMAN. Or call 537-1350 and get in touch with the show. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
AJ, what if I told you this is Volbeat? Would you have still played it?
Yes.
Okay. Back for a few moments as we wrap up hour 1 of the game. I just wanted to give a shout-out once again to the Florida Panthers. They're Stanley Cup champions. They have not stopped partying, and I'm not joking. Like, they have continued to party. Somebody has taken the Stanley Cup somewhere ever since that final horn on Monday night. And I'm all for it. I've been following it on social media, on Twitter. People are putting out videos. They're out somewhere today at some bar, still pouring beer out of the cup for fans. Last night, they took it to a club that had a stripper pole, and it did appear on one of the videos that the cup did a little bit of pole dancing last night.
Okay.
I mean, it is making its way everywhere in South Florida. So shout out to the Florida Panthers. They're keeping the party alive. Yeah, that's awesome. Meanwhile, I also saw from the NBA draft, Kyle Filipowski was drafted to Utah. Have you guys seen the story going around social media today about Kyle Filipowski? Played basketball at Duke. Basically, his girlfriend converted him to be a Mormon.
Okay, so it makes perfect sense to go to Utah.
But now she's like, the rumor is that she doesn't want him to talk to his family anymore because they're not Mormons. And now he's been drafted to the Utah Jazz.
Whoop.
I'm interested to see what Brandon Peoples thinks of that pick. He's a big Jazz fan.
The Bronny James pick at number 55 to the Lakers coming up here in we're about 3 picks away. I'm hoping the Celtics take him at 54. Just for this story. All right, that's going to wrap up hour number 1. When we come back, hour number 2, easiest and hardest Big 12 basketball schedules by opponent. EA Sports going too far with Colorado, all coming up. CBS News next.